The night before you go kokanee fishing, this is when you need to make up your corn. The only corn I use, and if you're using anything else, you can forget it, but green giant white Chopaic corn. And what I do is I end up buying about 4 cases before the fishing season starts, so you're not scrambling around trying to find it. But this is the only corn to use when fishing for kokanee. There's a lot of people that use maggots and other things. All I use is corn. It's the cheapest bait you can buy. You can't go wrong with it. What I do with the corn is I drain it. So I'll open it up, and you want to get all the water out of the corn. A lot of people will dry it with a paper towel. I don't do that. I just drain it. So completely drain all the water out of the corn. What I use is I use little plastic Rubbermaid containers, and they're about this big. And this is the process I use for doing the corn. I fill up that container half full with the white Chopaic corn with a spoon. So I take the spoon, dump the corn in, and then I put on, it's called Wizard Kokanee Killer Corn Magic. What this stuff's going to do to the corn is it's going to toughen it up. And so it's going to stay on your hook better. Or also, if you're planning on going for a long extended trip, let's say you're going to go up to Odell Lake for 3 or more days, this will help preserve your corn. So I dump, and not very much, but you just want to sprinkle some on the corn. Some suggested stuff that I like to use is anise, tuna, garlic, krill, or shrimp. And ProCure has came out with some new water-soluble scents, and I would highly recommend getting these. If you know anything about scent and the way scent works, usually when you put it on the corn, you'll get an oil slick over the top of the water. This does not do that. It stays in the water. The scent that I was using at Green Peter this last trip was this fish oil garlic. And then I also used, this is some powder. If you're going to use garlic, I suggest getting this. It's called Slamo garlic powder. It also helps preserve the corn as well.
What is your ratio of garlic powder?
Not very much. So if you're putting too much, very little. Everything I do is very little. People will overdo it with the scent and the stuff. I have one of these. It's lasted me 3 years, and it'll probably last me another 5. So not very much. Just a little bit. Dyes. People will use dyes on their corn. They're very effective if the kokanee want that color. So let's say you dye your corn pink and the fish want pink, you're going to do really good. If the fish don't want pink, you can forget it. So if I suggest that people are going to dye their corn, and you don't want to use very much of this, you don't want a real dark color, you want a nice light color over it, so don't overdo it with the dye. But if you're going to take a pink or a chartreuse out, make sure you also take a plain, because the odds are the plain color is going to work better than the dyed colors. But I have had days where I've dyed it pink and the pink's what they wanted. On my boat, I keep the corn in a cooler with a gel pack, and I keep it out of the sun. So you want to keep it cold all the time. I leave it in the refrigerator the night before, and after the end of the trip, I get rid of it. So corn's the cheapest bait you can buy, and there's no reason for saving it. The most I would save a batch of corn would be 3 to 4 days, and that was if I was on an overnight trip up to Odell, and then I'd stick it in my refrigerator after I got off the boat, refreeze the gel pack, and then go back out. But do not let your corn set out in the sun, it'll deteriorate it.
Do you use tuna oil on it?
Tuna oil works really good. Yep, tuna oil. Yeah. Yep. You want to go at least 10 feet, and that's what I like doing. If you're running a really long setback, you might have to go 15 because you got a lot of line back there. But 10 feet is a good spread, and then you'll have like 60 feet, 50 feet, and then the other side you want to bring it up to 5 feet and drop it 5 feet. So you have something going every 5 feet. So right around 10 feet.
That's
Yes.
To me, it's like,